Wake up in the morning, I just gotta get it. Wake up in the morning, I just gotta get it.
All right, welcome everyone to the Schoology Learning Podcast. Thanks for joining us. This is the podcast where we talk about some things we're hearing out in the world about education, as well as some tips and tricks about our favorite platform, which is, of course, Schoology. My name is Kellie, and I'm joined by my colleague, Ericka Waterman.
Hey, Kelly. I'm so excited for us to take this time. I just remember how fun it was when I was teaching to take the lunchtime or, any little break that we had and just kind of talk with colleagues. So hopefully everyone can join us and just get a little chit chat about education and Schoology while they're at it.
Yeah, so let's get started.
Hey, Kelly.
Hey.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
I know. I'm so excited. Can't believe it's 2026.
Yeah, it snuck up on me for sure.
Yeah. Oh, just flying by.
Yeah.
But I wanted to give you a little gift to get 2026 started off right.
Oh, this is awkward. I didn't get you anything.
Oh, that's just typical, Kelly. No, what I have is news that I think you're going to be very excited about this with Schoology. So I've been you've been telling me forever that people would love to see us improve the user interface, right? With how people, update it, make it a little, just a little slicker to use. And so we are finally releasing our first drop in the bucket. So it's a small start, but I'm pretty excited about it. In the January release, we're going to have the student assignment dashboard available if districts want to turn it on.
Ooh.
And it's basically going to allow students to immediately when they log into Schoology, they can see what's upcoming, what they've missed, what's recently completed. It does things like highlight that there's a teacher comment, because right now we don't have a really great way to let students know that those teacher comments are there. We're going to have the ability, it's not sorted by class, but you can sort it by class, which I think is going to be awesome. So, right from that main page, students can go into their assignment or see just, what they have going on this week, next week, the following month. I'm just really excited about the visibility and kind of navigation improvements that we've made with this.
That is great. And I know that's been kind of a frequent piece of feedback we've gotten. And I'm sure you and I have experienced this ourselves, but like the easier it is for a student to see what to do. And like, that's why we added the upcoming list. Like for a while, we didn't even have that. So like, that was even a huge improvement. So this is like taking that even a step further, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty excited about it. Cause like you said, that upcoming, it's great. It's great.
Yeah.
It was,
there's like
it was like,
it's
5,
good.
I think. Yeah. It's good. This takes it to a completely another level.
Well, as I recall, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that when you look at the upcoming and like recently graded, and then is it overdue?
Overdue?
Yeah, it's because my brain is shut off still from break. But it's not for the specific class. It's like everything, right? So like, so when a kid looks now in the dashboard, are they able to actually like just look at something for a specific course, or is it still kind of everything?
No, so it opens with everything, but up in the right corner, the student can click, I would just want to see language arts. I just want to see my math class. I just want to see social studies, whatever they got going on. I just think that's going to be such a game changer for them to be able to navigate very quickly and see what's been completed versus going into the course and drilling down. So
that's awesome. That's a great gift. I really feel a lot of pressure to get you something.
I'll be waiting.
Yeah. Well, that'll be one of my resolutions then. Find a good gift for Ericka to repay her for all the assignment work. But speaking of resolutions,
Kelly, your knowledge is your gift. Use it all the time.
So did you make resolutions, by the way? That was hard to say.
Yeah. I always dabbled with should I, shouldn't I? But yeah, ish. How about you?
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, I have some personal ones, but like for the professional side of it, I just want to be better about, I want to be more intentional, I guess, about what I read and what I try to like absorb because I feel like I'm getting overwhelmed and then I end up just like, ugh, I don't want to even check anything anymore. And then the other thing is, I kind of want to expand what I do on things like social. I'm not great about, I used to use Twitter all the time. And then when I shifted away, I just feel like I need to be better about social. Like,
Nice,
yeah. Yeah.
nice. I
So
like
those
those.
two things. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. So my big professional resolution, and I dabbled in this a little bit last year, but I'm like really trying to hone in on it this year, is the work with our vendors that partner with Schoology.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
all of our apps and our app center, and just I'm noticing how much more districts are using that, and really want to get a good handle on it.
Yeah.
And so actually to start, to get my resolution kicked off in the probably best way possible, we actually are going to be able to chat with a partner of ours and talk about those integrations that we're doing and the improvements we're working to make. As we're talking about students and being able to access their assignments in a better way, in that new dashboard we just released, it definitely makes me think of the tie-in that we have with Microsoft assignments. And I just am so thankful that I have a wonderful counterpart to work with Microsoft. And so he was willing to join us today. So TJ, welcome. We're excited to have you here on the podcast.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks, Erica, and hi, Kelly. So yeah, I'm TJ Varing. I work on the Microsoft Education team. I'm a principal product manager there, and happen to own the products that integrate very well with Schoology, our LTI, in particular our newest LTI, the Microsoft 365 LTI, that brings just about everything our education customers kind of value about Word, PowerPoint, Excel, documents, and more Copilot access to Schoology.
Yeah, that is one thing that I think you have done really well, and that I've seen kind of change over the year is bringing it all and kind of consolidating it all, so that it's really easy for teachers to access and just like you said, add those integrations in with Schoology where they're living day to day.
Yeah. And as like, a longtime Schoology user before I actually joined the Schoology team, like we have a long partnership with Microsoft. And so it's been great to see, the growth and change and like where it's gone and how it's really gotten better over the years. It's been exciting. And I think, you know, the idea of having students access whatever they need from within our platform is kind of what we've always wanted to do. And so it's just great to have such a good partnership with Microsoft because people, that have Microsoft and are, dedicated or insistent, like you have to have this in Schoology. So I'm glad that we have the assignments thing. And I know there's been changes there and updates with, how that operates inside of Schoology. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate that. And so our effort, the idea of integrating and bringing our products to meet students where they are and teachers where they are, like Schoology, is not a new idea. We've done this for a long time. And that's the latest, the Microsoft 365 LTI actually represents bringing together initially 6 different LTIs. We had 6 of them out there. So that created a lot of just complexity on its own. They're all built by different teams. There was a lot of back end work that had to happen at that on Microsoft too. So, as we talked with some of our partners internally and had this idea to bring them all together, it just became a lot of goodness. It's goodness from just the customer experience standpoint, one thing to install and manage kind of with everything there and a
Exactly.
lot of control. So we didn't take away the control. We still give you the ability to turn things on and off and control things for what you want to release to your teachers and students. But having it all in one place actually did something amazing on our back end too. It gave us more bandwidth to really focus on those tools and not maintaining 6 different services.
yeah.
And we've added some more new ones too. We've now just released Reading Coach in there as well as one of our newest ones and insights piece that people have been asking for that we're able to work on now. So we saved ourselves some time, we saved customers some time, And one more critical thing we're doing there is all of the data and storage from those tools on the back end are all brought together as well. So if you talk about that kind of relationship between the learning admins, the ones that would administer Schoology and take care of teacher training and such like that, they see the the reduced complexity hopefully and the goodness of bringing it all together, and their counterparts on the IT side now have kind of one SharePoint site, one team, one group to manage with each Schoology course, so they can work on that life cycle relationship and have their look back and their retention and everything managed better, I believe.
Well, and it is just nice to have like one app to rule them all, if you will, where it's like, you don't have to worry about like, where am I going for this? Or I want to add that, which app was it in? Or when you have new stuff, it's just there, right? We don't have to go through the process of adding a new one. So yeah, there are some really cool things happening, I think, with the Microsoft integration. And Kelly, you have some favorites.
I do.
Yeah. What are the parts that you like the most about Microsoft's
Well,
integration?
something I'd learned, which I didn't know until we had partnered together for some AI literacy work, was the learning accelerators, which I didn't even know existed before I'd connected with the Microsoft team. And like, I love the student facing like support tools that were built. I think they're amazing. And I mean, I'll admit, like, I initially saw the Reflect tool, which, when we think about, Eric and I had actually done a session or a podcast episode on kind of emotional well-being and health and like how important that is. And like we hinted at the Reflect tool, but that's one of my favorites. And then I just think that the coach aspect's amazing. And I think that people may not know about it. So glad to have you here to share like how cool those are.
Yeah, I think, I mentioned the 6 different tools. I should probably name them. So we have our OneDrive flows, which allow you to bring Office 365 files. So no new tools to learn there. Just it's real world PowerPoint, Excel, the actual viewers and editors right inside of Schoology as part of assignments, or even just supporting them as resources. So bringing files together, to support your course and curriculum. There's OneNote class notebooks. I don't know if you're OneNote users, but like there are that is a very passionate community of folks.
Yeah.
And it's awesome because OneNote is for classes that involve journaling or math or music, non-traditional type of document scenarios or other writing. And OneNote's just keeps adding features. My counterpart Mike Tholson on the team does a lot of kind of talking head videos where he takes through like the latest features. So I encourage you to look at those, or what's new in EDNew series, another webinar style, not podcast style, but webinar style, where we actually demo some things monthly out there. As I mentioned, we brought Reading Coach. That's the latest one. That's one of those AI powered accelerators for students, and that's self-coaching, self-reading, where teachers might be able to kind of push them in a direction, but it's more just guiding. And that app was really built around the love of reading and encouraging users to read and students to self-develop. And then we have our assignments app. That's where those learning accelerator assignments live, the progress assignments. We call them progress because they're not only just very easily approachable by teachers. We have accelerators in the area of reading, math, speaking, and presenting. And these things are, they're not 1,000-word prompts. They're switches that teachers turn on and off to enable different pieces of functionality within there. That we've kind of grounded our use cases there in kind of real reading coaching from language pathologists and others out there who are using them. So teachers can configure them. They get rewarded then with rich insights from them, and they can see progress over time, over students and over classes. So it really is about the development of skills and building. And then from the student side, they get an AI experience that they can't cheat with AI. It's really taking them through the process of learning these different skills: reading, math, speaking, and search progress is one I'll mention and kind of drill in on a bit. That was the one that was the surprise to me. It's just when you think about it, learning info literacy, the ability to find citations, cite things, how many people were actually taught this in grade school? It's just kind of like, do a citation, put it in this format, and if you don't get it in the right format, you lose points, right? This kind of breaks it down into what you're finding, making sure it's valuable. And you expose that process of what you chose, how you searched for it, how you developed your search. It coaches you in the moment. All of them do coach in the moment for students, but search progress, kind of teach students to apply their own rubric, right, to what they're finding on the internet, getting that detail of how to use more advanced queries and other things, and then exposing to their teacher why they picked what, and making it part of the lesson. And there's a switch in there that says, just generate the citations for me. So if it's part of your rubric, shut the switch off. If it's not, and you don't care about formatting, but you care about the process, turn it on and let them just paste it into their paper. But it can be used along with a Word doc or a PowerPoint or something else to support that process of research.
I am so jealous of teachers now that have access to this tool. Are you kidding me? I taught middle school language arts, and you're right, TJ. It was like, yes, I had to teach the formatting because that was, something that we wanted to make sure kids knew and understood. But it was really all about making sure that they were getting good sources and good information. So that's just phenomenal to know that there's a tool out there. It's connected. You can access it all through this one app, and right from Schoology if you want to, which is, I think.
Yeah, and these become real Schoology assignments. They sit in the list with, there's no different place to discover these. In the past, we developed these kind of during the pandemic, in response to the pandemic, to kind of fill some learning gaps we saw out there and felt passionate about. They were originally only in our Teams assignments, and then we brought them into the LTI. So there's no requirement for Teams. So be very clear about that. You don't have to use Teams to use these accelerators in Schoology. And they become real assignments in Schoology and pass all the feedback and grades and that the teachers give to Schoology, which then becomes the master grade book and sends those grades out to where you need them to be. But we're not, it's not going to distract students to any different place. These are, first class Schoology integrated assignments.
Yeah, and we love that. And I know that our end users do too. So very excited. So I think we could talk probably the whole time on what already exists and how much we like it. But is there something that you're looking at doing, or something you're excited about that you all are working on that you want to share with the listeners?
Oh boy, I got to think of what I can tell you. We've got all the.
Oh, I suppose I didn't think about that.
Yeah, no, I'll share that. We've taken a recent. So we made a series of announcements recently, kind of opening more up about our AI functionality in education and some areas we focused on. One of the coolest new things we've done that encourage folks to take a look at is like our speaker progress tool. We added an AI powered feedback mechanism to that. And we also have a summarize rubric mechanism with AI, and have Copilot help you with feedback as a teacher. So this is an area of passion for us now, because we still hear every day, even with those AI powered assignments and everything else, we can make that real easy. But grading still takes a ton of time, and giving good, thorough feedback or personalized feedback, succinct feedback, right? You've got different things you have to summarize. You have a rubric you're marking, you have comments and docs, you have all these things. So we thought it would be very cool to have AI help with that, right? It's very good at writing, organizing, summarizing. So it can kind of find all those things and help you pull them together, help summarize your feedback as good, summarize your rubric rather as feedback, pull in those other pieces and help you organize it. And that saves teachers time. And also we know good feedback, helps students a lot. If you ask a student who loves teachers, they're the ones that spent time with them, gave them that personalized feedback and more insights to their grades. So we think that's a really, that's a cool area we're going to keep developing around. And we have a really interesting use of that in speaker progress as well. There's a switch you can turn on there for AI powered feedback. And the first thing it asks you is like, kind of, what kind of speech is this? Is it informative? Is it persuasive? Right? Because we can listen with intent. We can listen with that perspective, right? As we're analyzing, kind of what was said. And so, if you choose that, say it's informative or persuasive, did you have a strong call to action? Did you, so there's other switches you can then turn on within that to listen for particular things. And this doesn't just throw all that feedback at students. We never do that as Microsoft. We always it's assistance for teachers, right? They get to see everything, before it goes out. So it summarizes that feedback and it gives it back to the teacher. And then they can further use that summarize with Copilot tool to kind of merge that in with everything else and give a good thorough feedback across the speech, across the writing, the presentation, just about everything, and the rubric.
Well, and since both Eric and I were language arts teachers, I was in high school. Um, like the written feedback part was always the most time consuming, and it's like something that's hard as a teacher because the timely criterion reference feedback is probably it's probably the strongest determiner of helping a student grow, but you just can't
Yep.
get through all of it. And like it's the scale is what's the challenge. And so I love what AI is allowing us to do now to get feedback faster and to, kind of streamline those processes that are frankly kind of painful as a teacher because you spend all this time on
Yep.
that feedback, then they don't get
Yeah.
it for a couple of weeks, and then they just look at the grade anyway.
Yeah. Well, and the mental fatigue, right, of coming up with
Yes.
like, what have I said that already? Have I not said that? Like, how do I
Or
phrase it with this
have I
student?
said it nicely?
Yeah,
Like,
that's that
That's
that
another thing.
personalized aspect too, right? If every student gets the good job or things like that, right?
Yeah.
No, and
That's
then I think about just like knowing what to teach. So you brought up Reflect. That's another one of the apps, that's part of the suite. Reflect isn't just all social emotional. Like you can control the questions, so you can use it to ask, insightful questions about were you prepared, or were you surprised by anything? Did you feel the assessment went well or not well? Things like that, and maybe know what to teach your groups of students to focus with.
Yeah.
Right. So it's and knowing what to teach is, again, those accelerators, how long would it take you to listen to all the speeches and write feedback and then look across it and figure out where to focus with your class or how they're finding things? The math progress is maybe a great example of that. Even with a few assistants in the class, how long would it take you to go and look at every problem that every
and
student did? Maybe you're doing quadratic equations or something that have multiple ways to solve them. And, some students went wrong on this and this. You can quickly group them and kind of tackle that,
yeah.
right? Or just know what to teach, right? So it saves I think they save a ton of time.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. Like, I'm no longer a teacher, but I definitely appreciate Copilot in my professional life for those very reasons, right? Like it just, as I mentioned, reduces that mental fatigues,
And I'll
speed
mention
things
that
up.
just
I'm just able to do so much more quickly because we have powerful tools like this. So pretty
And
exciting
I
stuff.
can go back and mention that really quick. Copilot is there, by the way, right inside of Schoology in Word, PowerPoint, Excel, where you expect it to be. So these are the real editors, the real viewers. And if you have a Copilot license, Copilot is there to help you.
And is
That's
the
awesome.
Copilot license necessary, TJ, for the learning accelerators?
No, not at all. Everything I mentioned in terms of the feedback summary, in terms of the writing assistance for directions, even rubric. We have a wonderful rubric creation tool with AI. The speaker progress, reflection and feedback tool, all free and open with any education license. So it doesn't require the Copilot upgrade.
That's just really cool that you guys are giving all that out to educators because these are really important tools. So it's nice to be able to not have that barrier if that is something that their school district can't do. So very cool. So TJ, you and I have been working together, what, maybe a year and a half? Has it been that long already? I feel like. So yeah, just so the audience knows, TJ has taught me more about LTI than I ever thought I would know, and I'm still learning. He usually is quite a few levels above me, but I
wouldn't say
definitely
that, but
appreciate
yeah.
I definitely appreciate all of our collaboration and our partnership. But one thing I've always been curious about is I know why I love ed tech. We've heard why Kelly loves ed tech in previous episodes because this is near and dear to our hearts, being former educators. But what is it about working with ed tech that you like?
I reflected on that pretty recently as my younger son, he's a sophomore this year in college. And I know as a parent following along, I was always a true believer in technology because it kind of enabled me to help with him particularly. He's a student that had issues with organization and executive function, along the way. And, we spent a long time helping them, supporting with that. But I just remember over and over again, teachers, kind of asking us to help as parents. But it was hard because if a assignment is in a locker somewhere and forgets to bring home, or on a board somewhere and forgets to write down, how do you help, right? So I always looked at kind of the technology as a tool for that. I think a lot of districts realized that for all kids during the pandemic, right? They kind of had to go to digital to tech to help, right, with that, and digital delivery, right, virtual delivery. But even just having, that was pandemic happened while when my son was just a freshman, never walked in the high school building as a freshman
So
because of
right.
the pandemic.
Yeah.
Wow.
But when the teacher asks to help, and I can look in a product like Schoology and see all the assignments, see all the work to be done, not searching through backpacks for papers and things like that. That's hugely helpful to me as a parent, and I think a lot of students have found that helpful. We find especially when we talk about the reading and literacy, we have a product called Immersive Reader that's also integrated with Schoology that helps with accessibility and accessible experiences like that, but it's just a better reading experiences. So, we have those cases of students who do, tend to hide things like dyslexia, dysgraphia. They don't know what's going on. They're a little bit embarrassed by it. This allows them to pick how they read and how they view things, right, to be helpful. And it's also just a better reading experience. So I think just even users who would not think of adding anything that they need would still use it just because it cuts the clutter. It helps them, kind of absorb and read things. So it gives them an accessible experience without them having to ask for things. If you
Right.
think about the one example that always hits me is like, a while ago, teachers would have to order special copies of books with bigger print,
Yeah.
for students who struggled with vision issues and other things. And now they can just make it bigger on the screen for themselves, or go a line at a time if they want.
Yeah. And actually, my husband is now teaching what we call multilingual. It's been many names, right? ESL, ELL. And so he's got all these students who come with language at home that he has no idea how to support.
There you
And
go.
so,
Yeah,
like, having that immersive reader inside of Schoology where it's like, pick your trend, like pick that, like you
right.
take care of what you need and you don't have to worry about getting that from me. Like that's just amazing. Like
Yeah, you
that's
look at states like New York, New Jersey, like the number of languages spoken in the households, the
Ah,
number of parents. So it's like more than 2 to 1, right? It's grandparents and other folks supporting learning. Like
yep.
all this, I believe technology can really help with that.
yeah.
Just parent teacher calls for, I want to see or transcribe this in my language, how I think or learn.
Yeah.
What an incredibly human answer. I loved that. Very much, about the core, I think, of what we're trying to do, which is ultimately impact the student, which means making sure that everybody who's supporting that student have the access that they need. So that's fantastic, TJ. Just goes to show why I like working with you so much.
Well, awesome. And I really do appreciate the partnership. You guys have been awesome in helping me know what to do, through customer voice and insight. So thanks very much, both Ericka and Kelly, for that.
Well, we were excited that you were able to join today. This has been great. Love to have you on again in the future because I'm sure there's just more and more that's always going to be coming out. And I look forward to how we can keep our integration strong and the things that we can develop there. So I'm sure we'll have more to share with our listeners in the future.
Yep, awesome. Yeah, I'd encourage everybody to check out, if you haven't seen the new LTI, it's aka.ms/LMS admin docs. That's where you'll find your guidance for how to deploy it. It's right there in the Schoology store, so super easy. App Center, rather. And yeah, I hope you can join us on one of our Microsoft What's New in EDU monthly webinars, or any of those sessions. Everybody's welcome. Oh, and I do an LTI office hours that we have a lot of Schoology users in as well. Every
Nice.
first and third Thursday at 11 a.m. EST at aka.ms/LTI office hours.
That's awesome. I'm sure that's incredibly helpful. Good resource.
Yeah. Yeah. So thanks, TJ, as always. Like it's always great to talk to you. We appreciate it.
You too. Thanks, both.
Well, thanks for joining this episode of the Schoology Learning Podcast. hope to see you next time where we'll talk about some more topics of interest and, of course, talking about our favorite platform, Schoology.
And in the meantime, if you click on the user toolbox at the bottom of the Schoology page, there are lots of resources out there, including other episodes of this podcast to listen to. Until next time.
And hope to see you next time. Thanks all.